Hey there, how's it going? I hope you're doing well, and today we're going to be revisiting an older movie that I have not seen in quite a while, and that is 2015's Krampus. As I've stated many times on this channel, I am a big fan of horror movies, okay? But when it comes to Christmas time, when it comes to the holiday season, I kind of turn those off. I don't really tend to get into them just because this is the time of year where I'm going to start watching only Christmas movies. I cannot watch a Christmas movie in July. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. It's only around this time do I get into that mindset, and then I'm knocking out all the classics, right? So horror kind of takes a back seat. And to be quite honest with you, there's not a lot of great Christmas horror movies out there. There's a bunch of them out there, but they're pretty bad.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
2015's Krampus is one of those movies that I do enjoy to watch. And with today, it's Friday the 13th in December. So no better time to drop this review and revisit this now cult classic that we all enjoy. So I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible up front, and then later on maybe I'll dive into some details of the movie. But overall, this movie was directed by Michael Dougherty, who is also responsible for a very good Halloween movie called Trick or Treat. If you've never seen that, I highly recommend that anthology movie. But this is more of a dark fantasy horror comedy. It's not like a straight slash or anything like that. It's kind of goofy, and it is a little humorous. So if you're not a big fan of like just insane horror and you kind of like the lighter side of it, I definitely recommend it. But overall, the movie revolves around the Christmas-themed folklore of Krampus, which is basically a mythical creature or the reverse of Santa Claus. This creature comes and visits children during the holiday season that have been more so on the bad side of things. And that's basically the plot of this movie. Is you have this child named Max. He's probably early teens, having Christmas with his family. People are coming in from out of town. You have your typical dysfunction going on. And he's at that age where he's shouldn't be believing in Santa Claus anymore, but he still wants to. And he gets made fun of by other members of the family. And all this kid wants is essentially how Christmas used to be. Just like all of us kind of, I guess, would look back and say, man, I wish things were the way they used to be. Well, same thing as him, right? He doesn't really want to grow up yet, but he's getting that pressure to, and he's still trying to hold on to all those kid things that we loved so much when we were children. But he reaches his limit, and the letter that he had written to Santa Claus, he ends up ripping up and kind of tossing it away. And by doing that, and no longer essentially believing in the spirit of Christmas, well, Krampus is now going to be coming to town, and that's where things start to get a little bit crazy. The cast is actually a really good cast. There's some people that I've never seen before in other movies, and then there are some absolute standouts that if you saw them or if you are good with names, unlike me, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. The father's played by Adam Scott. The mother is Toni Collette. And then the kind of redneck brother-in-law is David Koechner. Again, I believe is how you say his name, but you've seen him in tons of movies, and he's pretty hilarious. So the budget for this movie is a $15 million budget, so it wasn't some low-budget piece of garbage that you kind of see with some of these other movies. It was really well done. The practical effects on here, I have to applaud. Again, if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you know how much I love practical effects. And a lot of these little monsters and things that accompany Krampus, they are awesome. There's a little bit of CGI in here, which it's not bad. For 2015, I didn't have a problem with it. But the practical effects are through the roof. Again, I don't want to spoil what some of these monsters and creations that they come up with because they're pretty freaking cool, I'm not going to lie. But I'll talk about those later on in the review. Most of these kind of movies, you can't anticipate what's going to happen. And I will say this, with Krampus, if you've never seen it before and you're watching it, it does throw you for a loop. And it does a lot of things that you probably wouldn't expect. And another thing about this is the runtime. A lot of movies, especially today, are drag fests. You know that movies now are just like, why is this still going on? This should have ended like 30 minutes ago, right? not the case. It's only 98 minutes. So it's like a perfect length of time. There's not really a lot of scenes in here where I'm like, oh man, I wish that was, let's get rid of that. We don't need it, right? So you stay engaged, you stay focused, they stick to the plot. And even though it is a horror comedy, the Christmas spirit is there because the kid is starting to realize, I made a mistake. You know, I made a mistake saying these things about this family. Yeah, our family gets on my nerves and they're dysfunctional and they piss me off and, you know, all that stuff. But then as these bad events are happening, he starts to realize, like, man, I took it for granted. He's like, I just wanted how it used to be. But you know what? I understand now that it's not what it used to be. And I just want my family regardless. So that was a cool little theme that they threw in there and main idea. And again, I'm trying to be as spoiler free as possible right now. And I will say this, as cool as all the monsters are, the little side creatures and stuff, Krampus himself is pretty freaking gnarly. I mean, the way he looks, the depiction of it, you can go look up like old school depictions and how they actually portrayed it in the movie. Man, they did a phenomenal job, and it's creepy. It is very, very creepy and well done. So if you're looking for a horror movie that is not extremely bad or cheesy or anything like that, I would recommend checking out Krampus because it is a load of fun. It's got your horror elements, and it does have the Christmas theme wrapped through it as well. So just to get into a couple spoilers that I want to talk to you about, let's get into some of the monsters that they have throughout this movie. Man, I did not expect the one monster that stood out the most for me was the Jack-in-the-Box creature. That thing was insane looking. In the attic, when the family went up there right after, you know, everything's kind of kicked off and things are all starting to go sideways. When I saw that thing, that was creepy. I'm not gonna lie. The doll kind of demon angel that happened, the bear, right? The gingerbread men, those were really cool. Those reminded me of the latest mini puffs from Ghostbusters. I feel like Ghostbusters absolutely stole that idea from Krampus now that I've revisited it and seen it. Because like I said, I haven't seen Krampus in forever. I did really appreciate, and it kind of threw me for a loop, when she did the flashback scene. It was all claymation animation, and it was really well done. I think that gets overlooked quite a bit. Claymation stuff is hard to do, and it was a great way for them to portray her as a child. Instead of hiring a new actor, they could have just done it live action, but the claymation was pretty freaking cool, not gonna lie. Again, if you are looking for a movie, especially today being Friday 13th when this video is released, I can't recommend this enough, just to give you that check in the box of, yeah, it's something horror, but we're still staying themed to the holiday season. Krampus would be the way to go. Like I said earlier, there are plenty of low budget, awful horror movies out there that I just can't get behind, to be honest. And don't get me wrong, I love a bad B movie at times, but some of them, I don't know. I can't force myself to watch. But this is a fun time. You'll have a couple laughs, good adventure, and honestly, again, if you've never seen it, take some twists and turns to where you might not expect. So if you've seen the movie, let me know what your thoughts are down below. I would always love to hear what you guys think. If you liked the video, hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate that as well. And until next time, take care.